change it a little bit. Let me ask you this. Did Reverend James Cleveland really die from AIDS?
James Cleveland's legacy is legendary, but his son's recent revelation will leave you stunned. Get set to uncover the truth behind the rumors that have haunted the gospel world for decades. James Cleveland's influence on gospel music. Often touted as the king of gospel, James Cleveland was a transforming agent in contemporary gospel music. Cleveland's early church experiences set the foundation for his revolutionary career. He was born in Chicago. His creative blending of conventional gospel with jazz, blues, and pop revitalized the genre and increased its appeal to a larger listenership. Cleveland's special capacity to close the distance between spiritual depth and popular appeal signaled a major change in gospel music and opened a fresh road for the genre. From famous gospel leaders to upcoming performers, Cleveland's career was dotted with several partnerships with a varied spectrum of musicians. Starting the Gospel Music Workshop of America, or GMWA, was one of his main successes. This group was instrumental in promoting and preserving traditional gospel music's development. Through GMWA, Cleveland gave many musicians a stage to present their skills, therefore enabling gospel music to include modern sounds and ideas appealing to younger generations. Beyond the church, Cleveland's involvement with secular musicians further blurs the lines between gospel and other genres, highlighting his general appeal and adaptability, influencing the GMWA. Apart from his performance and production duties, Cleveland's compositions and arrangements were well known for their subtlety and complexity. His songs included complex harmonies and rhythms that pushed and motivated other artists. Celebrated for their strong themes of faith and endurance, songs like Peace Be Still and Lord Help Me to Hold Out became anthems inside the gospel community. Millions of people found solace and strength in these songs. Still, they were also significant during the civil rights movement, since they gave hope and solidarity via music during significant societal transformation. And today, you cannot miss the amazing secret his son is about to expose. Cleveland's ministry was similarly influential. Using his position as a pastor and powerful leader inside the gospel community, he spread a message of love, hope, and atonement. His music, concerts, and sermons frequently tackled urgent social concerns, therefore attesting to his dedication to social justice and his readiness to challenge unfairness. Cleveland was a beloved person both inside and outside of the church for his capacity to relate to people from all walks of life and for his fervent support of social change. Inspired by his commitment and vision, his legacy still shapes gospel music and culture for the next generations. Beyond his own lifetime, Cleveland's contribution to gospel music set a benchmark for next generations of musicians. His ability to bring new elements into traditional gospel helped define the genre and make it relevant and vivid in evolving cultural settings. Cleveland's exceptional talent and vision are demonstrated by his contributions to gospel music and influence on the direction of the genre. His audience's great connection and ongoing impact on the gospel music scene define his legacy. Cleveland's narrative reminds us of the ability of music to inspire, heal, and unite as his songs and work of ministry permanently changed the gospel scene. His combination of musical invention and spiritual depth produced a legacy that still influences and motivates both gospel performers and listeners. Reflecting both Cleveland's personal dedication to his faith and his larger influence on the music scene, his life and work remain pillars of gospel music. And now, you can't miss the stunning secret his son is about to reveal. The rumors begin. James Cleveland's impact on the gospel scene expanded along with the examination of his personal life. Whispers of Cleveland's personal affairs, especially with relation to his sexuality, started to travel by the 1970s. For someone as firmly anchored in the church, these rumors were not only harmful, but also divisive. At the time, the church had conventional ideas about sexuality, hence any claims that strayed from these standards infuriated and worried his adherents. Though there was no specific proof to support the rumors, they lingered and clouded Cleveland's otherwise remarkable career. Public responses to these stories were clearly split. Many of Cleveland's supporters and admirers fiercely supported him, incredulous that the guy who had motivated and raised so many could be engaged in anything controversial. This devoted devotion mirrored the great influence Cleveland had on his audience and their unwillingness to balance his public image with the negative accusations. On the other hand, some members of the church started to avoid Cleveland because of the mounting rumors. The conflict between respect and criticism produced a complicated terrain where Cleveland's personal life became a divisive topic. Cleveland himself hardly spoke openly about the rumors. Instead, he turned his attention to his music and ministry, letting his art speak for itself. This was a deliberate tactic meant to keep some dignity and control over the story. He kept some respect and power by avoiding direct interaction with the rumors. But this quiet also led the rumors to sour, since unresolved questions and conjecture kept whirling around him. This approach had two effects. It kept Cleveland from facing instant criticism, but also helped to create an undertone of skepticism and curiosity. But first, be warned, the next section will wow you even more. Cleveland's career was drastically changed as a result. The constant rumors cloud his public image, even if he is still successful, and his music has resonance with millions of people. His reputation suffered as a result of the underlying conjecture, which generated uncertainty even as he kept a strong profile in the gospel society. In personal relationships, the rumors most certainly bred conflict and mistrust. Those close to Cleveland would have had to negotiate the conflict between public scrutiny and personal loyalty, hence fostering possible alienation and discontent. Cleveland stayed clear-cut in his goal among these difficulties, emphasizing his dedication to his work. Notwithstanding personal and public challenges, he used his music as a potent vehicle for healing and unification. Even as his personal life came under public discussion, his capacity to keep having a good influence through his job demonstrated his tenacity and commitment. Looking back, Cleveland's handling of the rumors underlines the difficulty prominent personalities facing personal conflicts experience. His choice to concentrate on his music, instead than confronting the accusations, exposes a technique of preserving professional integrity while handling personal problems. Though they lacked hard data, the rumor became ingrained in Cleveland's narrative and show that sometimes delicate balance between public respect and personal controversy is necessary. The continuous conjecture on Cleveland's personal life also reflects larger society tensions and opinions towards public personalities that break from accepted wisdom. The manner Cleveland's case was handled provides a case study in the junction of personal and public identities, and the long-lasting effects of such disputes on public opinions as well as individual legacies. But first, beware, the next part will shock you even more. His son's silence over the years. Growing up beneath the great shadow of his father's enormous popularity, James Cleveland's son experienced both privilege and pressure. He was keenly aware from a young age of the whispers and rumors about his father. Many who followed the Cleveland family's narrative found it perplexing when his son decided to say nothing, despite the turmoil surrounding Cleveland. He struggled to balance the respect for Cleveland's major contributions to gospel music with the complicated feelings connected with rumors about his personal life for years, bearing the weight of his father's legacy. There were several reasons he stayed quiet. Understanding that any public remark may have far-reaching effects for the Cleveland family, as well as the larger gospel community, he aimed on one level to preserve his father's legacy. Revealing important information may compromise his father's cherished reputation and upset the careful balance his legacy had preserved. On another level, his choice to remain silent might have been motivated by his own inner struggle as he worked to honor his memory while juggling the emotional weight of his father's secrets. The son was trapped in a tough situation, having to balance ethical difficulty of confronting the reality with allegiance to his father. The protracted quiet piqued public interest, since many people speculated on what he knew and why he decided not to share it. Usually, the conjecture focused on whether he was helping to preserve the family's reputation, or whether he was involved in keeping up a front. The public's growing obsession with the mystery only made him more under pressure, since every day seemed to magnify the need for solutions. Many people started to wonder what Cleveland's son's silence meant and speculated about it. They wanted to know what drove his silence. I see your perspective. Why did he remain silent? The response is somewhat ahead. The public started to see Cleveland's son differently over time. Some saw him as a disciplined boy, following his father's desires by keeping secrets and protecting the family from more strife. For these onlookers, his silence was interpreted as evidence of respect for his father's accomplishments and a quest of family dignity preservation. Others, on the other hand, considered his quiet as a kind of complicity, ongoing denial of awkward facts. This viewpoint argued that, by not speaking up, he was essentially supporting the current quo and helping to keep some facets of his father's life secret from public view. Public conjecture focused much on Cleveland's relationship with his son. Many questioned how their bond had suffered under the weight of secrecy and the rumors. While some thought the quiet of the son reflected a troubled relationship, others thought it indicated a complicated but very respectful relationship. Cleveland's son stayed quiet despite the many inquiries and interpretations. This only served to inspire more conjecture and discussion on the nature of their connection and the motives behind his decision to hide information. Years passed, and this quiet started to define Cleveland's son's public image. The choice to keep silent complicated the story around the Cleveland family even further. It reflected the complex interplay between legacy, truth, and family devotion rather than only a question of personal experience. The silence left behind much to the imagination, which fuels continuous debates on the actual character of Cleveland's life and the effect of his decisions on the legacy of his family. I know what you're thinking. Why did he stay silent? The answer is just ahead. Looking back, Cleveland's son's silence highlights the difficult junction of public and personal life. It emphasizes the challenges those assigned to negotiate the legacies of powerful people while negotiating their own emotional trusts must deal with. Though very personal, the decision to keep silent became the center of public interest and discussion since it highlighted the intricate interaction between public expectation and personal privacy. The moment of revelation. James Cleveland's son made not a light decision about deciding to at last speak up. He had battled a difficult mix of emotions for years: loyalty to his father, the weight of secret, and the search for truth. As he negotiated the balance between honoring his father's heritage and confronting the reality of the secret facets of Cleveland's life, this inner conflict caused a great deal of anxiety. The turning moment followed much thought and emotional conflict. He had a flash of insight whereby he realized that presenting the truth was not only necessary for his own mental serenity, but also for fairly presenting the legacy of his father. Desire for emotional catharsis and a need to answer the outstanding concerns regarding his father's life and profession drove his choice. The path leading up to this epiphany was psychologically and emotionally taxing. Cleveland's kid had to face the consequences of the rumors on his family as well as on himself. This was a very important choice, since he had to balance the need of openness with the possible consequences of his disclosure. Deep meditation and a strong feeling of responsibility defined this time. Speaking out would not only answer long-standing issues, but also maybe rekindle past hurts for himself and his family. His conviction that the public was entitled to know the whole truth added to the difficulty of his choice, since it would provide a better knowledge of his father's life and career. And then the bits started to fit together. Cleveland Sun's first clue that he would validate the rumors surfaced during a public speech when he made a mysterious comment hinting to secret facts. Though nebulous, this comment implied that there was more to his father's narrative than what had been publicly known and was charged with conflict. His deliberate word choice and underlying connotation of hidden knowledge generated excitement and suggested that a major disclosure was just around the bend. This point signaled the start of a new chapter in the narrative and prepared the ground for the final full disclosure, therefore injecting dramatic tension into the developing narrative. And that's when the pieces started to fall into place. Confirming the awful rumors. The news of James Cleveland's son validating the long-standing rumors about his father rocked the gospel community and beyond. Years of conjecture had whirled around Cleveland's personal life, especially around partnerships that ran counter to accepted church wisdom. The complete validation showed that these rumors were based on reality rather than just gossip, therefore illuminating facets of Cleveland's life that had been buried for decades. This disclosure gave the public a view of a guy hailed as a gospel symbol more depth. Cleveland's son picked a very public venue for the confirmation, directly addressing the media and fans. This choice resulted from a wish to control the disclosure with the dignity it deserved and offer clarity. Speaking candidly, he sought to head-on confront the matter by appreciating the weight of the disclosure and its ramifications. His declaration contained a moving justification for his choosing to come forward at this specific moment. He discussed the psychological and emotional effects on his family and himself the silence around his father's personal life had caused. Revealing these specifics was a personal confession as well as a more general reflection on privacy, truth, and the weight of bearing such a major secret. This disclosure had immediate, significant, and broad effects. Originally shocked, fans were covered extensively and under great intensity in the media. Reactions ranged greatly from astonishment and doubt to sympathy and encouragement. Many battled to balance their respect of Cleveland's musical accomplishments with the disturbing facts about his personal life. Always ready for dramatic stories, the media concentrated mostly on the sensational features of the confirmation, often at the cost of more complex consequences for Cleveland's legacy. You're most likely wondering, why now? Heart-wrenching is the reason. This close examination also caused Cleveland's legacy to be re-evaluated more broadly. Both supporters and detractors started to rethink how to strike a balance between Cleveland's enormous contributions to gospel music and the recently unearthed facets of his personal life. This method included negotiating challenging concerns of how to honor someone's artistic successes while appreciating and correcting their human failings. The aftermath brought attention to the sometimes complicated link between an artist's public image and their personal life, therefore encouraging public opinion re-evaluation. Cleveland's son had to negotiate the fallout from the disclosure among this upheaval. Managing personal loss and family dynamics adds levels of difficulty to an already difficult situation by considering public response. Along with exposing the truth, his choice to come forward was about facing the emotional toll of hiding such a major secret. The larger conversation about how society handles the legacy of notable people with convoluted personal histories kept changing as the dust settled. The Cleveland case was a moving illustration of the challenges in juggling public successes with personal shortcomings. It highlighted the more general social discussions around pardon, atonement, and the standards for respecting the legacies of powerful people. The disclosure of James Cleveland serves as a sobering reminder of the complex and sometimes agonizing junction between public opinion and personal life. It forces us to examine how we strike a balance between respect for someone's achievements and a frank evaluation of their whole existence. Cleveland's narrative is nevertheless a complicated and striking illustration of how both personal hardships and accomplishments help to define public personalities. You're probably asking yourself, why now? The reason is heart-wrenching. The impact on the gospel community. The news of James Cleveland had a significant effect on the gospel community, eliciting a spectrum of responses from astonishment and disappointment to acceptance and introspection. For many, the first reaction was one of incredulity, as Cleveland had long been seen as a trailblazing and powerful person in gospel music. The validation of the rumors regarding his personal life questioned the accepted story of Cleveland's life and begged important issues regarding how personal shortcomings should be balanced against career successes. Given Cleveland's reputation as a gospel music master, the news was particularly startling. Having hailed him for his inventions and achievements, the gospel community discovered it was struggling with a different reality. The disclosure pushed leaders and gospel musicians to have serious conversations about Cleveland's impact and how his personal life might affect his legacy. This was about how the community reconciles personal shortcomings with professional accomplishment as much as about the individual effect on Cleveland's reputation. Some in the gospel world regarded the disclosure as a chance to reevaluate Cleveland's place in gospel music. They asked whether the moral and ethical aspects of his personal life should influence the way his contributions to gospel music were perceived, as well as how public and personal personalities interact. These conversations frequently focused on the conflict between juggling Cleveland's personal life's complexity and respecting his incredible successes in the genre. For some, this period of reckoning offered an opportunity to confront more general problems inside the gospel community, including how it manages scandal and the nuances of balancing personal shortcomings with public acceptance. And here's when it becomes even more unreal. There were major and complicated ramifications for Cleveland's legacy as well. Unquestionably, his contributions to gospel music were significant. He transformed the genre, motivating a great number of musicians and permanently changing gospel music. But the disclosure made him rethink how his personal life ought to fit the story of his successes. Preserving Cleveland's artistic legacy while facing his personal controversies' realities became difficult. This scenario highlighted the complicated link between an artist's work and their personal life, therefore posing important issues on how to strike a balance between respect of their artistic output and a frank evaluation of their life decisions. Cleveland's disclosure affected not only the public conversation on how society sees and handles the legacies of well-known people who have convoluted personal histories. The response of the gospel community reflected more general society discussions on pardon, atonement, and the legacy of powerful leaders. The conversation focused on how society struggles with these complex legacies and how public personalities are sometimes assessed depending on a mix of their successes and personal mistakes. The gospel community must combine Cleveland's great musical achievements with the great elements of his personal life as it negotiates the fallout from the disclosure. This procedure uses a subtle way to acknowledge the good as well as the bad sides of his legacy. This discovery reminds us of the complicated character of public personalities and the continuous argument on how to respect their achievements while appreciating their personal shortcomings through the talks and reflections it generates. Cleveland's narrative is a potent illustration of the more general discussions on legacy and personal integrity. It emphasizes how challenging it is to balance public achievements with personal life and the ways in which such disclosures could affect public opinion and legacy. Along with society at large, the gospel community keeps struggling with these problems, trying to strike a balance that honors the successes as well as the complexity of powerful people like James Cleveland. And here's where it gets even more unbelievable. A look back at James Cleveland's life. Examining James Cleveland's life shows in the field of gospel music an amazing and transforming legacy. Often dubbed the King of Gospel, Cleveland was a trailblazer whose creative approach to gospel music not only preserved but also revived the genre. His special ability to combine modern inspirations with classic gospel components changed gospel music and had a long-lasting effect on the music business. By means of his work with the Gospel Music Workshop of America, or GMWA, and his many recordings, Cleveland showed a great dedication to both upholding the core of gospel music and stretching its possibilities. Cleveland made contributions other than only his musical ability. His involvement in starting the GWMA in 1967 helped to bring gospel musicians together and give the genre a stage on which to flourish. This group grew to be a major player in the gospel music scene since it promoted harmony and cooperation among musicians. Cleveland's creative energy and commitment to the GWMA helped gospel music find fresh directions, therefore impacting many musicians and forming the contemporary gospel sound. Songs like Peace Be Still and I Don't Feel No Ways Tired, which he recorded, became masterpieces inspiring and elevating listeners all around the world. Cleveland's music, marked by strong vocals and complex harmonies, is still evidence of his exceptional vision and creativity. Stories and personal tales from people who knew Cleveland provide a closer, more complex view of the man behind the music. Friends, relatives, and co-workers all remember Cleveland as a dedicated and passionate person whose influence went beyond the stage. They talk about his kindness, his relentless commitment to his work, and his humility. Cleveland was renowned for his friendly demeanor and capacity to relate to individuals from many backgrounds. His influence on people around him was significant, since he regularly went out of his way to assist and mentor other musicians by sharing his expertise and experience, thereby enabling their success. I'll walk over how this alters everything in just a second. Although Cleveland's contributions to gospel music are much praised, his legacy has been complicated recently by fresh disclosures on his personal life. These disclosures have clouded his successes and spurred a review of his life and career. The fresh perspective on Cleveland's personal life questions accepted wisdom regarding his legacy and emphasizes the sometimes challenging process of balancing public achievements with personal reality. This change of view emphasizes the more general problem of public personalities' memory and the way in which their personal and professional life cross. These disclosures have a major effect on Cleveland's legacy, since they force a reinterpretation of what a meaningful legacy is. Cleveland's life's complexity pushes us to reevaluate how we strike a balance between the accomplishments of an individual and the several nature of their personal experiences. The difficulty is appreciating the major contributions Cleveland made to the gospel music industry, while also facing the facts of his personal life. This reevaluation process is not specific to Cleveland, but rather reflects how society handles the legacies of eminent people like Cleveland. James Cleveland's biography is a moving illustration of the difficulties in recalling popular personalities. Reflecting the complex interaction between their professional successes and personal life, it shows the ways in which a person's legacy could be both praised and examined. As we keep considering Cleveland's influence, it's crucial to approach his legacy from a fair standpoint that respects his contributions to gospel music, while also noting the complexity of his personal path. By doing this, we learn more about the ongoing character of his influence and the ways in which audiences today still find resonance in his life and works. I'll explain how this changes everything in just a second. What the future holds for Cleveland's son. After his father's reality was exposed, James Cleveland's son's life has changed dramatically and presented public as well as personal difficulties. The disclosure of secret facets of Cleveland's life has changed the son's public image. He is now a person negotiating the complex road of balancing his personal experiences with a public's response. Not only the child of a revered gospel hero, he is now a person negotiating the complex road of balancing his personal experiences with a public's response, not only the child of a revered gospel hero. This change has made him face not only the aftermath of the disclosure, but also his own loss of his father's legacy and related emotional pain. For Cleveland's son, negotiating the fallout from such a disclosure has been a difficult road. The psychological and emotional effects of public scrutiny have obliged him to look for help from other angles. A support system and comfort throughout trying circumstances have come from close friends and relatives most importantly. Along with his healing process, professional counselors have guided him through the complicated emotions and stress that come with such public exposure. The requirement of this help underlies the great impact public disclosures can have on a person's mental state. Notwithstanding these obstacles, Cleveland's youngster has shown incredible tenacity. He has been open about his difficulties, utilizing his position to talk about how the disclosure affected his family's history and his own life. This transparency helps one not only to cope, but also to interact with those who could be going through similar challenges. Through his experiences, he hopes to promote empathy and compassion, as well as help to start a larger discussion on handling public criticism and personal loss. And you won't believe what he's planning next. Cleveland's son is also thinking ahead to his future as he negotiates this demanding phase. He said he wants to use his experiences to drive good deeds. This forward-looking attitude is evidence of his will to honor his father's memories and also create his own road. Public speaking events where he may share his narrative and thoughts, support causes dear to his heart, or work on projects honoring his father's musical legacy could all be part of his future plans. These ideas show a dedication to have a significant impact and to leave a new legacy honoring his father's influence as well as his personal path. Even after Cleveland's death, father and son's relationship remains a major component of his narrative. The latest discovery gives their relationship fresh angles of view. The respect for Cleveland's work is today tempered with the complexity the truth brings. Still very introspective about their relationship, Cleveland's son strives to honor his father's memories while also tackling the complex truth of their shared past. This constant contemplation emphasizes the timeless character of family ties, even when public stories and personal reality change. In this setting, Cleveland's son is trying to construct a fair story that honors his father's legacy and admits the truth that has surfaced. This strategy calls for careful balancing the public and personal issues presented by the disclosure while maintaining the good features of his father's reputation. His attempts to strike this equilibrium reveal his dedication to both his personal development and the ongoing regard he has for the contributions his father made to gospel music. Cleveland's son has a far from finished road. Though his difficulties are continuous, his will to transform adversity into opportunity shows a commendable and motivating quality of character. His future ambitions will probably show a mix of personal resiliency and a desire to honor his father's memory in ways that are both real and significant as he negotiates the complexity of his new life. Now that you know the truth, stay tuned for our next video, where we dive even deeper into the gospel world's biggest secrets. You won't want to miss what's coming next.